That's right. Victory Monday, Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, coming to you live from At the Bar Radio Studio. Washington Commanders defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars in nail-biting, heart attack almost having fashion, 28-22. We got a lot to talk about. As you see, we have Big Hurt in the house for post-game. We got RobbieG in the house for post-game. So you know it's going to be a lit episode. It's week one. We had a lot of haters, a lot of doubters. Everybody was talking about how bad this team is going to be. Carson Wentz is a joke. Y'all waste, y'all this, y'all that. I had folks trolling me through the game, tagging me in posts before the game was even over, talking about I was going to make excuses. And I'm here to say we don't make excuses here. We talk the real. Big Hurt. I've been watching you. I've been seeing what you've been posting. I saw what you posted right before the game. How do you feel after this heart testing week one victory over Jacksonville?
Well, let me start by saying, what's going on, good people? What's happening? It's been so long. I miss doing this. I miss my guys at Sports on the Hill. But let me start by saying there was a little mistake or misinterpretation on my page. When I said we taking Jacksonville, I wasn't saying I'm taking Jacksonville for the victory. I'm saying we are taking Jacksonville. And though y'all who know me know I don't lie. If I say I thought we were going to lose, I would say it. I love this team. I don't know these people. I don't know that guy who was wearing number 10, who was catching the ball and moving upfield and not being hurt, okay? I don't know the tall guy who can see over his offensive line and was throwing the ball and hitting people in stride, all right? I don't know the guy who was walking around with a headset calling imaginative and creative runs and pass plays. I don't know the guy who said, oh, we're not getting up front with 4 people. Let's throw in some exotic blitzes. I don't know these people. I hope I get to see more of them.
No doubt. I definitely agree with everything you said. If you was following my page, you saw some of the critiques I had. We got to talk about that ugly third quarter. Yeah. But I must say, I was impressed with Scott Turner, especially in the first half. Like you say, his playbook, he was being very, a word I haven't been able to use in a long. He was being very diverse with his playbook. And we saw that Curtis Samuel, who a lot of folks has labeled as a bust, a wasted pick. And I recall last year saying, I hope they shut him down for the whole season. So when he comes back next year, he'll be fresh. And they didn't, but they pretty much did. And now you can see why they put him in the position, because he's like a Swiss Army knife, man. You line a dude up everywhere. He had more carries in the first half than Gibson did at running back. So, I mean, he scored the first touchdown as under the Commanders franchise. And I got to say, with Scott Turner, I was very impressed. And I was shocked also to see his, like you say, imagination. He was actually setting up some of his plays. It's like he studied Doug Peterson and was like, hey, I'm going to do that too. What do you say, Brian?
They ran that crossing route to Terry McLaurin like 3 or 4 times and never threw to him. And they ran the slot receiver straight post, where the slot receiver goes up the field and then turns in and forces the safety to shift over. And they set it up and set it up and set it up so that when it was time for Terry McLaurin to go straight, as soon as the safety looks one way, looks at that slot receiver, it's over. Because with Terry McLaurin, if he's even, he's leaving. And I love it. I know him. I didn't see much of him last year. I know that guy, though.
It was definitely a pleasant surprise to see the offense being open and being wide open. RobbieG, I know you've been back there sharing. I know you, because we were talking throughout the game, you a little little on the ropes. You were up. Now we were both upset.
We were all up and down. I mean, it was
all upset at that third quarter. I was on the verge of flipping over the TV because after that interception on that screen pass, I was.
Well, the problem is I had walked away because I was just so kind of mad, and then I heard the interception in the other room, and I was like, I just kind of felt it was coming, and then the touchdown was the next play. Like, so I was out of the room when it happened. I just kind of felt bad energy. I just didn't even. And of course, the second I step back in, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I have to say, my dad called me a lot during the game. He was very up and down on this team, as I think a lot of people were, but. Carson Wentz, he changed the narrative. For a while, I was like, oh no, he's going to have his last loss with the old team and his first loss with his new team, back-to-back Jacksonville. And then sure enough, he came back and threw some beautiful balls. I mean, he had to really forget what he had done in some of those plays and just move on. And it was funny. We didn't go to Scary Terry as much as I had expected. A lot of other players did a lot better. So I don't know.
Hold fast, Robbie. My OBS has shut down on me. Let me make sure my feed is back up and running, bro. My whole OBS just shut down on me while you were in the middle of talking.
Oh no.
Okay, I think okay. I'm back up on OBS. Let me make sure my feed. Go ahead, Robbie, and make sure my
All
feed.
right, that sounds good. We're still, I think, live here on Twitch, so at least we're the benefit of streaming on 3 different platforms is at least we're still live somewhere. So
yeah, now, bro, that scared me.
Yeah.
I lost it.
So you have to start over.
Robert, you got the Twitch feed going. I'm gonna have to restart mine. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Yeah, it's been a crazy day of ups and downs across the NFL, but it was I was just very excited to see us be able to pull out this game after being down. We were up so big, and then the momentum shifted, and we made some adjustments. Carol was talking before it all started in our pregame show about how we had to make adjustments throughout the game, and it looked like Jacksonville made the adjustments at halftime, but we were able to make adjustments going into the fourth quarter to really kind of slow down the tempo and milk a lot of the clock. And we hadn't been running the ball particularly a lot in the game, but at sort of the end of the game, we kind of went back to it, which I was happy. I'm sure Carol was happy to see that too, because I know sometimes we go away from it at the end. But Hurt, what are some of your thoughts on the up and down nature of today's game?
Well, I will say this. There was a period in time where we started getting away from the run game, and I was a little worried about that. Because you get away from the run game, you make yourself one-dimensional. Even when the passing game is working for you, it's hard to turn the switch back on when you need the run game to close the game out. You're out of a rhythm. So I was a little worried about that. I was also worried because it's not very often we get big leads on people, Under Jay Gruden, 14 points was all you could hope for. You're like, hey, let's go ahead and pack it in. We get these early 14, well, not these early 14 points, but these 14 points later. We have a little bit of a lead. There's no adjustments to be made. So even when we were down by 8, I never lost hope that we would win the game. I never lost hope.
I'm not sure all of the Commanders fans out there would be in that same boat, but I'm happy that you were.
But at the same time, if you find anything that I was saying during halftime, I was saying that I wasn't comfortable. I said I'm not comfortable with this lead we have because Jacksonville's missed some opportunities. But I see CP3 back with us.
Yeah.
Give me continue because now my camera's acting up.
See you though. See you.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, my go just continue, fellas. Continue, fellas.
But anyway,
I'm trying to get straight over here, man.
It was Ron Rivera has proven that he will train his guys to fight to the last man, to fight in the fourth quarter like they fight in the first quarter. The last drives of Washington are always special to watch.
Yeah. Carol, do you want to just share we have a feed that's still live on our Facebook feed. Just share that one. And you're already on that and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but I'm still got to get my YouTube feed when I got my folks is on you. That's what's killing me. My other feed that I got.
Got it. See, this is all the restream. It's crazy. There's too many platforms out there.
There's no app yet where you can stream everything at the same time.
Well, that's what we're using.
And for some reason, the website just renamed itself like 2 months ago. And I've been using, like you said, Restream. And because I'm not able to commit the funds right now, I can only stream the two channels right now. But go ahead. We'll talk about that later. Go ahead and continue talking to the audience about the game. It's killing me.
Yeah. No problem. But all right, Hurt, let's just start with talking about the offense. I mean, Carson Wentz, had some questionable plays. I know we talked before we got on here about how he was they didn't set him up for success with some plays, but when he was able to make some of those deep connections, it looked like he had pretty good rhythm. What were some of your thoughts on that?
I was really upset during the preseason because I'm like, this would be a great time to practice getting those down the stream, down the field in stream in motion passes. I'm so sick of us throwing the ball and the receiver either has to wait for the ball to get there or it's just over his head. And we've seen too much of that the last few years. So to see Terry only have to slow down slightly to wait for the ball and then still have enough time to pick up and burn by the safety, it was good to see. It's not something we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just in general, I liked how the position groups were very interesting. Like you didn't know if they were a running back or a wide receiver. They kept on switching them up so much that I think that really caught Jacksonville off guard. I mean, I was looking at, they really brought a lot with different things with the rushing attack. It wasn't a more conventional, one for a lot of the game. But I thought it was good. It kept them on their heels a lot. And it just, Samuel had a hell of a game. Just, his ability, and a lot of the players were able to move after the catch and be able to get upfield and spin moves and and some really great stuff that we saw there. Some of the things that I think we've been missing the last couple of years with the team.
Yeah, and I got sick of last year hearing how much we were missing from the game because of Curtis Samuel. I got sick of hearing that shit. It's like, you just don't know. He adds a whole nother layer to the offense. And I got sick of hearing it. So then to see the fact that he can run the ball and they're not afraid to let him run the ball, to see that he's a threat to catch the ball and then make a person miss, to see that he's also a downfield threat, even though we didn't do a lot of downfield stuff with him. Yeah, by the way, you got Terry and you got Dotson. It's exciting. This is a wide receiver core. We definitely haven't had one of those. A wide receiver core. 3 guys.
Well, I want to speak to that a little bit. Wentz went for 313 passing yards, but if you look along the line, nobody had more than 50, right? So it was so many people got involved beyond the top 3 to 5. I mean, it's just everybody, got in there. And it's rare to see a 300-yard passing game without somebody going for more than 75 at least. So I thought that's, an interesting thing to see that he had some decent chemistry with a wide range of players, which is something I like to see in the first game.
Yeah. Having multiple receivers or multiple players with catches gives the defense multiple things to think about. Everybody becomes a threat. You got legitimately McKissick, Gibson, and Samuels, who are both run or passing threats. You can line them up anywhere, and they can make a play from anywhere. Gibson makes a play up the seam, and it's beautiful. McKissick running the ball for 8-9 yards at a time where we really needed to get a chunk of yardage. It's good to see them mix everything up this way. It's a wonderful thing to see.
No doubt. Finally back in the building, I figured out what was going on. I had some other feeds going that was shutting down my main feed. I don't know how that happened, But cool. Like you said, like you guys were talking, very good points about the receiving core. Robbie with the points about, nobody had over, 70 yards receiving. Gibson had 7 for 72. Samuel had 5 for 55. Terry had 2 for 58. He scored. Dotson had 3 for 40 with 2 touchdowns. I mean, you got to give a shout out to the rookie. He had a quiet first half and got that touchdown in the first and then got the second one in the second half. That second one, they said he had good hands. Yeah, that was a hell of a catch. Wentz, I feel like he did a quality job. They put him in a good position to win. Early in the game, he was getting the ball out quick, hitting the receivers, like you said, hurt in stride, not having to wait for the ball or, see where it's going to come down at because it's a wounded duck. And he was putting them in a position to be successful. And that's what I was speaking about earlier, that, we have the talent, but the question is, are the coordinators going to put these players in a position to be successful and win on the field? And in that first half, we definitely saw that from Scott Turner, the diversity of the playbook, where he was going. He kept them off balance. Like you mentioned, I'm not really a fan of the third down shotgun all the time. Sometimes you got to, run it down their throat sometimes just to let them know that, hey, we still can play smash mouth too, but we got a quality quarterback now. Defensively, there was some communication issues on the back end, and they were talking about how much communication that was being done. Granted, Curl wasn't out there. You had Forrest out there, Reeves out there, different positions. But they just have to fix those communication issues. But I feel like for the most part, Del Rio's game plan was pretty effective. It was definitely, better than we've seen in the past. Or just that third quarter that we know, like I said, Doug Peterson is a masterful game planner and game caller. And the way they sputtered in the first half, I knew they were going to come out in the second half with some new tricks and, ways to open it up for them to get the ball to their playmakers and get the ball out of Lawrence's hands. And I felt like it took Del Rio too long to make the adjustments to his adjustments. But like I said, I'm not going to, beat a dead horse on that. They got the win. They stepped up when they needed to. Shout out to Derek Ford, second-year player. They talked about how well he played in camp and that the light, finally came on for him. That first hit in the first half on ETN, jarring the ball loose, and I felt like that was a fumble.
Fumble for sure.
Yeah, he went to go make a football move, and he went to move the ball, and that's when the ball moved after he made the football move, and the game-stealing interception. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Week one, nobody's going to be perfect, but it was a damn sure good way to start the season out.
And that's something else that we've really struggled with as a team, as an organization. Of course, a lot of that was the same guy with the same problem. We used to take too long to get going. Mm-hmm. It would take 2 or 3 games to find what works for us. And by then, everybody else has moved on.
Yep.
It's nice to come out strong. And more than that, it's nice to know that we've come out and we can improve upon this and hopefully not go backwards. Because it's just frustrating to have to wait until week 4 for Wentz and Terry to get into a connection. And I guess that's what happens when you take practice more seriously. Practice becomes almost like a game.
That's what I was saying that earlier about with Coach, how this offseason, this training camp, he made a concerted effort to be in those defensive meetings and to be in those offensive meetings to put his imprint on there. And with him, I said it over and over again, with him parting ways with Sam Mills earlier in the offseason, that to me, that was a statement that no matter how long you riding with me, if we don't see eye to eye on this, there's no more excuses this year. It's either you're going to do it the way I want and the way I feel like it's going to be successful for this team, or, you can be elsewhere. And I'm not saying that to be spiteful, but I take that as he's looking at this as he knows this is a make it or break it year. No time for excuses. You got a third place schedule. You finally got a quarterback that can do the things that you want. And people want to see, what those 3 years really mean. And I feel like this team could, if they continue to grow and progress and play like today and play better as we know they can, the sky's the limit. Not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying most folks have them winning 4 games, 5 games. I think the highest I saw them predict was maybe 8 games. I feel like this team could legitimately win 10 games this year if they stay healthy.
I remember doing the Sports on the Hill pick'em, and I remember sitting there. I just remember doing what I used to do on Facebook, where I would just pick the games in order, not give it a lot of thought, and not say, well, I got them winning too many games here, so let me pull it back. And Robbie said, hey, man, you got them winning 12 games. And my response to him was, no way, because I didn't even review it. He's like, you want to change it? You want to do a second one? I'm like, no. I felt the way I felt. And that was me being truly optimistic. And this coach he's shown me improvement. He's shown me that this means things that were taken for granted before mean something now. Practice is important. Preseason wasn't very important, but in the business world, they call it a landmark fire, where you just firing a defensive line coach. And some would say is to make room for Kerrigan. I hope that's not the case. But to fire him sends a message to everybody. Like you said, no excuses. But everyone's held accountable. Mm-hmm. If anybody's not pulling their weight, they can go. Whether it be a backup tackle, whether it be a defensive line coach, whether it be a safety, wide receiver, anybody can be gone. And it looks like the right move right now. The defensive line was a lot more shifty.
Can we talk about how disciplined they were at keeping Lawrence in the pocket? Because we saw against Kansas City what Patrick Mahomes did, because they weren't being gap disciplined and weren't staying in their lane assignments. I got to give them an A+ on this game, because they stayed gap disciplined. When they got even with Lawrence in the pocket, they didn't continue to rush upfield and let him sneak out of where they just left from. They played disciplined, smart football. And unfortunately, we saw Mathis go down, but I saw that he was questionable for a return, so that hopefully is a sign that it's nothing major. It looked like it was a hyperextension of the knee when I looked at it on, re-looked at it on during the game, but hopefully he'll be okay. We saw Allen went down later in the game. Hopefully we be okay, because we all know the defensive tackle is the lightest position on the line. We only have 4 guys, if you count Wise, because they had him listed at D end, but they got him playing at D tackle. So I know a lot of folks was upset with Settle and the Unitas being gone. When we had the depth, it was a luxury. But like I said before, you can't keep everybody, unfortunately.
And it's a good problem to have. Yeah. A good problem to have is, man, we can't keep these depth players, these backup players, because we have to sign a superstar. We have to sign Terry. We have to sign Jonathan Allen. There are decisions that are going to have to be made. It looks like they've already made a decision on Daron Payne, and they're ready to move on unless he's willing to, take a deal to stay. I still think they should trade him. If you're not going to sign, that's something we've never done. We've had players where it's like, yeah, we know we're gonna lose this guy. We know he's not going to re-sign. Let's get something for him now. That's not something we've ever really done. We've always been content with the compensatory picks. I want more than a compensatory pick for this dude.
So you don't think there's a chance that if he has an outstanding season, they would try to re-sign him? Because he's definitely motivated to play well. They never closed the door on not re-signing him.
I don't think we're going to be able to afford him. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be able to put that much money in 2 defensive linemen.
True.
And then you got Sweat coming up. At some point, you're going to have to sign Chase Young. Like, no, you can have Jonathan Allen and you can develop somebody next to him for the price that he would cost.
True. Yeah, he has been quality, but like we said, you can't sign everybody. And, we just got to make sure we got depth at the defensive tackle. I got to look at the practice squad to see who else is on our practice squad, because, we definitely want to make sure they have to keep that interior stout. And Ryan Kerrigan, I hope he continues to enlist his knowledge and tutelage on this defensive line and get those guys, where we think they should be on paper. I really didn't I looked at the game, but I didn't really get a chance to examine the game, so I didn't really get to break it down like I wanted to. I'm ready to go ahead and just go ahead and break down the stats real quick, because that's I got to get ready to wrap up and get ready for At the Bar Radio at 6. And after I get the stats, we can give our final thoughts and looking forward to Detroit next week. I believe they took the loss to Philly today, I believe.
Just barely. Philly was whooping their ass, but they only lost by 3.
Nice.
So that's not a cakewalk game.
Oh yeah, what's their coach? Fuck is their coach name? Drawing a blank. The Dan Quinn? No, it's not Dan Quinn. Well, their coach got them ready to play. I can't remember his name, but he's definitely a quality coach. He hasn't had the best resume, but he has his teams playing hard, and they will play 60 minutes. So yeah, next week is gonna, on the road too. So we're gonna see what happens. But getting down to the tail of the tape, I'll go over the team stats first. Washington had 26 first downs. Jacksonville had 23. Washington went 7 for 10 on third down conversion, 70%.
Wow, who are these guys?
Exactly. And they held Jacksonville to 3 for 12 on third down conversions.
Woo.
That's good for the stats. You know how we always end up low in the stats at the beginning of the season.
We've been bad on third down for years.
Yeah, we won't be digging out of a hole for the first time in a while, in that category at least. Passing yards, Washington had 305. Jacksonville had 260. Rushing, Washington had 84 and Jacksonville had 123. I wasn't expecting their running back to come back healthy. I had him on my squad. Had him on my bench, man. Robinson.
Yeah.
They say when they said he was coming off an injury, I thought he would be a piece of it. I didn't think he would be that integral coming off an injury and being that he didn't participate in no training camp, no preseason games. I'm like, he might, get in there here and there, but that man did some damage. He contributed, like I said, they had 123 yards on the ground. Time of possession, which is a key stat that I always look at. 33 minutes for Washington, 39 minutes, I'm sorry. Hold up. Can't read them all that hurry. 34 minutes for Washington, 26 minutes for Jacksonville.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Penalties. 6 for 63 for Washington, which we definitely got to clean up. Some of that pass interference on Fuller in the first half, I don't feel like that was pass interference. I feel like the dude was falling when Fuller turned around.
One of them, the first one, when they called the back on, the first one could have gone either way. Yeah. I felt like he kind of grabbed him. The second one, no way.
Yeah, the second one he was done. Jacksonville had 13 for 89 yards. Total yards, 383 for Jacksonville, 389 for Washington. Trevor Lawrence went 24 for 42, 275, a touchdown and a pick, 75 quarterback rating. Wentz went 27 for 41, 313, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 101 quarterback rating. Robinson, 11 carries, 66 yards, 6-yard average with a touch. Gibson, 14 carries, 58 yards, 4.1 yard average, no touches. Christian Kirk, 12 receptions, 117 yards, 19.5 yard average, no touchdowns. I already went over the wide receivers for us. I definitely like the diversity. I definitely like the ball being spread around and not being predictable. I feel like on the screen interception, I feel like they had thrown too many screens. That's why they were sitting on it. He was ready to make that pick when he saw the formation and saw the way the drop back and how the lineman moved. But for the most part, for week 1, with the Washington Commanders coming out, even it was a so-called lesser opponent, even though they invested in their team, got a new coach, put the money where their mouth is and have a better product than they had last year under a coach that should have never been in the NFL in the first place. I like what I saw. I'm glad they came out with the W, and can't wait to see what they do next week. Kurt, what was your final take, and what are you looking forward to next week against Detroit?
My final take is it must suck to be Brandon Sheriff. He played great, as he always does, for 12 games a season. My final take is last year at the beginning of the season, I had that feeling with Taylor Heineke that I haven't had since Robert Griffin, that feeling that you can win any game, that feeling that you can climb back into any game. And I tentatively have it because this is really the first time in a long time we've had a real NFL quarterback. Not a guy who's one-dimensional, not a guy who can't hit a fade, not a guy who cares about his stats, not a guy who gets hung up on a turnover. We have a guy who is an NFL quarterback. He makes NFL quarterback mistakes, but he also makes NFL quarterback throws. And if the defense can just stay creative, I think this team could really make some noise.
I definitely agree. That 4-2-5. I love the 4-2-5, and now they have the pieces that they can utilize in the Buffalo nickel. And a lot of folks are complaining about the 2 linebackers. We saw Davis out there making plays today.
We don't have 3 linebackers. That's a great call.
Cole Holcomb out there, the tackling machine. I love that dude. He hasn't missed the game. That dude hasn't missed a snap. Nobody talks about that.
And he knows where everything's going. He just takes a little longer to get there.
Yeah. But when he gets there with a force.
Yes.
And can I talk about one thing real quickly before we wrap up? Yeah. Well, I had a question. I mean, this was a beginning of a new era. Had a new quarterback, a new team name. Debut of a lot of things. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on? We've had questions about the rollout, obviously, but now we're in the brand. We're now have to be Commanders fans. Some people still upset about that. I've had people coming into my Twitch chat that are like, I'll always be a Redskins fan. People have never seen the show before, just had searched Washington Commanders, found our show, and we're chatting with us, but there's lots of them. And, I'm excited. We start with a win. I will root for this team no matter what they're obviously called. But it's an interesting start to it's a real new beginning for Washington in a lot of ways today. And I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. And then I also wanted to get both of your guys' thoughts just real quickly on 9/11, just because it is that day, it was obviously, I remember going, in 9/11, 2011, to the game after that and how powerful that was with the 10-year anniversary game. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on those two things real quickly. And then we can get out of here. But Carol, you can talk about either one of them.
With the team going forward with the rollout, I don't really not too concerned about the name. Once they start winning, people going to either get on or not. I understand the longtime Redskins fans that only know the team as that. I have it tattooed on me also, but I don't have a problem calling them the Commanders. It's the same franchise. They were once the Boston Braves. I don't hear people talking about, I miss being called the Braves. So, franchises change names. Looking forward, moving forward, optimistic. You can't do nothing about the past. The past is the past. I'm glad they started out with a victory. Hopefully starting out with 2 victories. And that's pretty much about that. And so what was the second part, Robbie? I forgot.
I was just talking about 9/11.
9/11.
It is an anniversary. I figured we should at least address it.
Only thing I'll really say about it is the one thing that I'm not even gonna say the good that came out of it, but the one thing that resonated with me after was how people actually cared about their fellow man. There was a lot of hatred for a certain group of people, but I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on how we saw Americans actually living as Americans and not as, Black, white, Democrat, Republican. We were all one as a people. And unfortunately, it takes tragedies for that to happen. And, we want to live like that, but unfortunately with all the distraction and stuff that's going on in the world today, we can't live like that unless a tragedy happens, and that's what brings people together. But I hope, even, remembering the tragedy that happened, that folks remember that the aftermath of that and the love and camaraderie and looking out for our fellow man and making sure and checking on each other and making sure we was all right. And look how far away we've gotten from that in 2022 to 2001 after that happened. And, that's my lasting impression on it. I have other political stuff that I'm not going to get into, but that's
fair.
That's my,
yeah. That's good. All right. We'll heard those same sort of last 2 questions. How you think the rollout happened and your thoughts on that, and then we'll get out of here.
I'm always going to be a Redskins fan. As long as the majority of Native Americans don't have a problem with the name, I'm never going to have a problem with the name. And that's just the way it is. I had no problem calling them the Commanders, but even in the Commanders Asylum Facebook group, I slipped in a game day thread with the Redskins logo on it. I did it on purpose. I knew what I was doing. And nobody said shit.
I still, all over this room, in every direction you can see, there'll always be that, but I'm
not going to ever be that. There's no name but the Redskins. We're not going to do that. It's time to move
them
forward.
all the time.
And look, that's phase 1 of the rollout. Phase 2 is when they bring that team to Virginia, and it's coming to Virginia. 2 up, 2 down. Speaking of Virginia, 9/11 is always going to be a special day to me. I remember I was working at the old Jerry's Ford in Annandale, Virginia. It's now Malloy, which is crazy. But I remember working there, listening to the Russ Parr morning show because Russ Parr was local before he was nationally syndicated. Listening to the Russ Parr morning show, and I remember Olivia said, a plane is falling into the World Trade Center. And I just remember my friend saying, what kind of an idiot flies into a building? You got to be the worst pilot in the world. Then it was the second one, and the whole tune changed. Then it was a plane flew into the Pentagon. My entire family was at a funeral at Arlington Cemetery when that happened. So for all you, there was no plane buffs, there was plane. But I just remember the seriousness that day. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know we were being invaded. We didn't know if there was going to be a multi-pronged attack. I just remember how everybody stood up in that moment. Like, I spent the entire day driving around picking up loved ones and making sure they were getting home okay. That's just, I'll always remember that, getting on top of the building at Jerry's Ford and seeing smoke from the Pentagon.
That's crazy. Yeah, my family knew people who died on that plane crash and stuff like that. I was just a junior in high school, at the school that I now have worked for 13 years, which is kind of a crazy thought that it's the same building. Yeah, it was the first day of a brand new building for a brand new high school, and it was crazy. But yeah,
I will give my recount of what I was doing that morning, but it's not appropriate for this show.
I'll
probably talk about it on At the Bar Radio, maybe, but I can't.
All right. Well, that's a good plug. So tune in later for that, for sure. Part 2.
I had to give a teaser for the show.
Right, there you go. I like it. I'm with it. All right. Well, we'll let you guys really quickly end the show, and then on my end on the Twitch stream, we're gonna be rating into Josh Turk, who's actually front page right now, which is really cool. A good friend of mine. So we'll be rating that on Twitch. But I know that Carol's gonna end his feed here. I'm actually gonna end our Facebook live feed, and then but you can give your final take as well, Carol.
Yeah, appreciate everybody checking us out. Sorry for the technical difficulties for my viewers on my pages. I don't know what the hell was going on. But tune in tomorrow night, Sports on the Hill podcast. We'll be talking Commanders more, breaking it down. After the coach did his post game, I haven't had a chance to check it out, give my thoughts. I believe we'll have Dujanet also and DC's People's Champ. Do a quick recap of the Nationals week that was. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that good. They're currently still playing the Phillies right now. Had a rain delay. I believe they're down 1-0 last I checked. And tune in At the Bar Radio, starting live around 6:00. We'll be talking a little bit of sports, as always, politics, current events, entertainment news, and whatever else is being talked about. And Big Hurt, appreciate you coming on. Start to the new season. Hopefully we can do it again, because Sundays I do 3 shows, and it gets taxing. And I love to have people come on and help me.
I understand.
Trust me, I understand. You already got to explain.
Yeah. I'll definitely try to make more of these.
Hey man, we'll be here. Give a quick week 3. I will be at the game, so probably no post game and pre-game. I'm gonna still try to make At the Bar, not sure, but look like I will be at the Eagles game. I'm gonna try to go live. Might even try to, hit the post game live on there, maybe do some streaking or something. I don't know. Try to get something to go viral. Who knows, man? Trying to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah, we'll probably not do these produced ones. I'm lucky that my family's out of town, so I could do that. But I look forward to being on the show tomorrow. Carol, Dujanet, we may even have Champ joining us as well. It'll be a fun time having a victory Monday. 28-yard field goal attempt is good for Minnesota in their game with 3:54. There's some interesting games all around the NFL.
What's the score of that Minnesota game?
Minnesota's now up 10-0 over Green Bay.
I picked them for the upset on FanDuel. Come on, Kirk, baby. Come on, Kirk Cousins.
Nice. And Kansas City's up 20-7 over Arizona with 3 minutes left in the half in that game.
JJ Watt is out, and I think an alert came through that looks like TJ Watt has a torn pec for the Steelers. Didn't say if he was out for how long, but I just got that breaking news, just came through a little while ago.
Touring Pack. That's going to be 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, that's what
I'm sorry, at least 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Yeah, for sure.
As we always try to keep you up to date on all the breaking news that's coming through, but appreciate y'all checking us out. Follow Robbie on his Twitch channel. He has some more things going. Hurt. Give a shout out to your channel and all the big things that you're doing before we get up out of here.
Hey, everybody. Look, life versus lymphedema. We still rocking. I've been taking a little bit of a break, getting my daughter situated for school, but new content will be up this week. Life versus lymphedema, YouTube, Life versus lymph on TikTok. I gave in a guy TikTok, and all I do is cuss out all the yummy foods I can't eat.
Yeah, that shit do be funny. I do be laughing.
That's my therapy, man. Look, that's what I did first.
Champ has some breaking news. Texans and Colts finished in a tie. So there was 2 games that could have ended in a tie. The Pittsburgh got a field goal with 5 seconds remaining in overtime to make it not a tie. So Pittsburgh won that game. And the other game did end up being in a tie. That's crazy that 2 games went that far into overtime. So
how do you feel with Matt Ryan with that quarterback?
And I am eliminated from the Hurts House survivor pool because I picked Cincinnati.
Oh, that's early. I'm sorry.
That's it. Out of there.
Damn. First week.
Oh, shit. It was not good breaking news for Hurt on that one. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I forgot to do the Survivor. I've never really been successful at the Survivor, Joey.
Yeah, I suck at that.
Me neither. I'm on my second life. We'll see what happens.
All right, well, we about to get up out of here. Gary get set up for At the Bar Radio. Robbie Gray do a Switch thing, and Hurt probably about to go have some fun doing something crazy like he always does.
I think there's some Red Dead Redemption 2 in my look. Totally off subject. This is going to be just so far left. For those of you who play Red Dead Redemption 2, did you know that in the story mode, if you have a fast travel at your base, if you set up your camp anywhere in the wilderness, you can then fast travel from that spot to any other level in the game? I just found it out yesterday, and it changed my playing experience. That's all. Hail to the Redskins.
That's cool. Now we didn't cover gaming on the show too. So hey, we're expanding our audiences, man. I gotta put that in the tag headline. I don't know what the hell you was talking about. I don't know what video game it is, but I'm tagging gaming in the feed. Maybe we get some more views.
All right, that's what's up.
All right, man. Y'all be easy, and we catch you next week. And appreciate as always. Sports on the Hill podcast, DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do, and we out.
Bye, Brandon Sheriff.
Recording stopped.
Good run, y'all.
No doubt.
We're still live. We're still live on Twitch. But anyway, hold on. Let me I'm gonna send my raid to all my people. But thank you for joining us, Hurt and Carol, on the Twitch feed. And
we definitely gotta do that some more.
For sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, I'm gonna mute the Twitch feed now and say goodbye to all of them.
All right, well, let me shut everything down.